2, 1. Hey, what's up, guys? It's time for another Geeks with Wives and Capes podcast. We are up to episode 54 now. I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts, Will and Piper. How's it going, guys?
I like it when you call me lovely.
So lovely. You're so handsome, Will.
I know.
Can't get over it.
What can I do?
Staring at you through my computer screen.
Oh, whoa, man. I've not enough to drink for that kind of talk yet.
Well, luckily, I'm drinking for both of us.
Awesome.
So,
sounds good. What's up with you, man?
Oh, just same shit, different day.
Yep.
just here with a awesome guest tonight. We'll get to his introduction in a second, but I want to touch base with you guys first, see how it's going.
Excellent.
Anything new?
No, dude. I'm still I don't know. I feel like I'm still processing everything from Comic-Con.
Well, we got Annie Jam coming up next week, so.
Yes, and by process I mean like thinking back, going, did I really wait that long for that? Yeah, I did. I don't know why I did that.
Counting the hours you wasted in your life.
Exactly. I was like, I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, good times. Piper, how's it going? We missed you last week.
Yeah, I just got back from Dallas, and I was not feeling it at all. I was at a much less fun event, the girliest I'll ever be, ever.
Well, we missed you very much, and so did our guest last week missed you too. We needed that fiery female voice.
Aww, I'm sorry. Bring him back.
Yeah, come back.
I'll think about it. So let's go on to our guest. You guys might know him as esteemed writer. Currently writing or wrote The Auteur from Oni Press, but he's also written comics for DC, Marvel, and of his own creation, such as Teenagers from Mars and Dead West. We have Rick Spears on tonight. How's it going, Rick?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Rick, that's where you have to pretend there's a lot of applause going on. You have to
yeah.
Woo!
I know. I need a sound machine. We're a very low budget production around here. So let's get right into you, Rick. We want to know, what's your origin story? What got you started in the comic biz?
I went to film school and I wrote. This is really weird. I can't hear myself talk with these earphones. I wrote a screenplay for Teenagers from Mars, and this was like, I don't know, 2000. And I went up to New York and was shopping it around, and this was before comics had broken as mainstream as they are now, and nobody had a clue what I was talking about because it was all about comics. And my wife was like, hey, maybe you should do it as a comic instead. And I met Rob G., who was living in Brooklyn as well, and we did Teenagers from Mars. And yeah, that's the exciting...
Can you tell us a little bit about Teenagers from Mars and kind of the inception of that book and where you got the ideas?
I guess the inception was the Mike Diana obscenity case. It's been a few years now, but he did a comic called Boiled Angel. And it's not totally a comic, it's more of a zine, I guess, but it has comic stuff in it. And he got convicted of obscenity, and he was the first American artist ever to be convicted of obscenity, and it's for a comic book. And I sort of felt that was, and I think a lot of people do, that it had to do with comics being seen as sort of lowbrow, not real art. And so Teenagers was sort of my reaction to that. At the time, I thought it'd be really funny for kids to become teenage terrorists and fight for comics. And then 9/11 happened, and terrorism got a bad rap, and so...
Oh, that terrorism. Always get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Terrorism got a bad rap. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at that, but I'm going to anyway.
Yeah, the first issue of the comic got delivered to my house on September 10th. And
wow.
and it was like, oh, this is great. We got this comic, and we were so excited. And then the next day, everything fell apart, and it took us about a year to get it out after that.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So, good times.
Yeah.
So I guess then we'll go right into the auteur, because you talked about film school. So where did the idea for that come from it was that experiences you had while trying to make films?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of production stuff. I've worked as an editor and directed shorts, and I've been in the film business for a little while. And I guess a lot of it happened to do with, we were sort of starting to try to option teenagers and Dead West and stuff like that, and running into these certain type of people that you'll meet from the world of Hollywood. And they were always, they're always characters. And I mean, we met some great people, but some of them were pretty hilarious. And I just had this idea to try to do, sort of a zany, cartoonish comic book about, I mean, ultimately it's sort of about art and artistic stuff. but then, I mean, it's a guy who wants to make something great, but he just has no idea how to do that and probably no skill to do it either, which is something I know a lot about, and I thought it would make a fun comic.
So, I mean, just for those who haven't read The Auteur yet, can you give us it in a nutshell?
It is about this guy. His name is Nathan T. Rex. He's a big Hollywood producer who's fallen on hard times because the last film he made was a big flop, and he's got to sort of resurrect his career in Hollywood. You're only as good as your last movie, and so he latches onto this pretty terrible slasher film called President's Day. The holiday themed slasher, and to try to pump it up and make it better than any slasher ever before, he hires an actual serial killer to be his consultant, and then it just gets worse from there. But ultimately, it's a love story. It's a romance.
It's like a drug-fueled, sex-driven story of redemption romance. But yeah, definitely.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard for me to explain it because I feel like whenever I start to explain it, and I just want to change it in the next issue. So, that was something I was trying to make each issue be completely different than the issue before. So, like the second issue, I mean, the first issue sets everything up. It's very sort of what you would expect from a comic about Hollywood, and then the next issue is a courtroom drama, which I just thought would be funny to probably shift gears. But yeah.
So the book is hilarious.
Thank you.
I mean, would you consider yourself like a comedy writer? Is that something you strive to do in most of your stuff, or is this something new for you?
I mean, I've always had a sense of humor in my writing, but never as comedic as this. I mean, I used to be a bit of a cut up, I guess, in school, but once I realized, like, oh wait, this is actually funny. It's not just scary and sad. I was like, okay, well, we'll do more of that. The funny seems to work. And so now, yeah, I guess I'm paying attention more to it as a comedy. But yeah, no, it's kind of different for me. So, but it's fun.
So
can I just ask what kind and how many drugs were involved in the making of?
Just sleep deprivation, mainly.
Oh, then I can do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely have done a few drugs in my past, and I like a drink every now and then. But when I'm working, I don't drink or do drugs or anything because it's, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's work. I try sometimes. I was like, oh, I'll talk myself into this, and then I just, go watch a movie. So. Yeah, it never works out. Yeah.
There was definitely some very vivid scenes in this book, which I really liked. It made it really fun. I hate when we talk to writers and artists, I hate doing the compare thing, but it definitely felt like I was saying before the show, it felt like kind of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It was definitely, I felt like
it had that feel to it to me too. I thought that too.
Yeah, definitely. That's I mean, Hunter Thompson's definitely a big influence in the sort of gonzo sensibility, but a lot of that came from Callahan's art. He's just, I've seen a lot of his skate decks that he's done and record covers, and he does stuff for Thrasher and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff, and I know what he's capable of, and it's so amazing and out there, and I was like, I don't think we can jump right to that without something to help the reader along, like drugs or dream sequences or something like that. but yeah, I'm basically just trying to get to Jim to draw the most insane thing possible, and we'll continue to do so because he's sick.
And you know Rick, I appreciated that because there's some shows like an Adult Swim like Super Jail and like King Star King that are just like so out there that it almost like I can't handle it sometimes. It's just like too out there for me.
Yeah.
But this obviously, like you said, there was kind of a reason behind it, and that definitely as a reader really helped relate more with what was going on the page. Not just all this off the wall stuff in your face all of a sudden.
Yeah, no,
I like the reason behind it. That there's reason behind it. You can still follow the plot instead of going like,
wait, what just happened?
We're getting lost. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say that I try to come by it honestly when we get weird, that it still makes sense and it flows and it works. So.
Definitely.
So this book is so off the wall and so adult and hardcore. What was the pitch like to Oni?
I can't remember the original pitch. Charlie Chu, the editor, we talk all the time. I do know that he did reject it at first. He forgets, but he was like, oh, I don't know if that sounds like something they wanted to do, and I wish I could remember the original pitch, but it was definitely like there's going to be lots of nudity and it would be hilarious, and that's not really what Oni's known for, the nudity especially. But I just sort of kept talking to him about it, and every time we talk about when we're working on some of the other stuff, we'd sort of drift into the auteur. And then one day he was like, "Well, dude, like when are you going to send me the outline?" And I was like, "Haha, you forgot."
Yeah, there it is.
And I was like, "Give me a week, and I'll see what I can do." So, and then we were just working on it. Like it just became too far down the road to turn back, and we were off. So, yeah. So I like to give Charlie headaches and make him worry about what we're doing. That's also a real big plus in my book. Whenever he's sweating, I know we got a good issue.
That was the attraction for me, because number one, the covers were definitely the attraction for me. I would go to my comic book store and I would look at those covers and be, what in the hell is this? I have to get this book.
Yeah, we definitely have a good time talking about the covers and what can we do with them.
But it's so crazy that what's the reaction been? I mean, do you feel like you've gotten a negative reaction because of all kind of the controversial elements of it?
I fully was prepared and expected there to be some, like, I don't know, internet outrage or something, and I'm a bit disappointed that there hasn't. And I'm like, all right, well then, in the next arc, I'm just gonna have to go further because nobody's mad, yet. So.
Oh wait. So are you confirming that we're gonna get more of the auteur?
Yeah, it was always supposed to be an ongoing project. No one ever believed us, and people just sort of ignored that we've been saying that the whole time. But because it definitely works as, the arcs will be sort of contained arcs. Sort of based on the movie that's being produced, but yeah, we've always said we were going to do an ongoing book. We had like when we were doing the initial book, there was some concern. I don't know. I'm always worried we're going to get canceled or something. And of course, if our numbers were terrible, we probably would have. But so there was some concern that we just wouldn't be able to go on past 5, but we've always been thinking of it as an ongoing book, and it's going to be there'll be gaps. The trade comes out, I don't know, this month or next month. It comes out, and there'll be a gap, and then we'll start the next arc. So it won't be, it'll be sort of the Hellboy schedule where they do you do a set, and then there's a break, and then you do another set. So.
You do not know how happy that makes me.
Yeah, I know. Like people they get excited, which is great. That's exactly what we want. So, yeah, more.
Yeah, because with the independent books, you just never really know. Because sometimes they go on and on, and then they just stop, and then sometimes they're automatically just miniseries or one-off stories.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people will say that a book's ongoing when they know full well that it's probably just going to be, a miniseries, or the numbers were just never there. Our numbers definitely, it would be great if they went up. We could use that, and we're hoping that putting the trade out, that there are probably quite a few people waiting for the trade, especially because the confusion, thinking it was just going to be a miniseries. But then also having the trade out will help us just get more publicity and sell more books and get more people on the team. So when we come back with the next arc, we'll be selling a few more. So.
Yeah, although trades are a great way to read arcs in a piece, but I felt like every issue was so episodic and so like TV-like that it was so welcoming to read it every month because it was just.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like I haven't really done monthly ongoing comics before. I mean, I've had the miniseries that have happened, but this I knew that I wanted each issue to be sort of an event and make it sort of dense. Some of them you read and it takes you like 10 minutes. I wanted to take a minute to read it, and make it just of value. So it wouldn't be something that you would necessarily always wait for the trade, but that you'd want to get that next issue. And it does read different. I have a copy of the trade now, and reading the trade, it reads really different than just the issues, which was something, like the way the issues butt up against each other, I was paying attention to that, and I wanted to try to make that really weird and sort of awkward. And it definitely works, but as the issues was the way it was intended. So.
Yeah, I feel like I needed a month just to decompress.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going for. So.
Rick, the artwork on this book is really awesome. We talked about it a little bit. How did you come across your relationship with the artist for this book?
I was in New York and I came back to Richmond. I don't even know why I was back in town, but I went to this comic book store that's here. It's run by my friend Pat. It was his old store. The new one's called Velocity, and he had a poster up for a book called Strange Detective Tales. That if you can find a copy, that's an excellent book that Jim drew, and I fell in love with his art right then and there. He was amazing. I knew, especially with I like working with people from Richmond because they seem to get what I do, just being from the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is a guy I'm going to keep my eye on and see where we can sync up. And when I started doing my own publishing, the gigantic graphic novels, he was one of the first the first people that I reached out to, and we published. His book, Rotting in Dirtville, which is a standalone graphic novel that he wrote and drew. And I knew, I was like, okay, if I publish his graphic novel, maybe he'll work with me. Maybe he'll draw something I write.
Right.
And we've actually worked on a lot of stuff together, but this is the first thing that's come out. We have a big graphic novel we've been working on for a little while, and some other things. We did a Fear Agent backup story. We actually did a Marvel short story in this romance book that they did. So he's a guy I've been working with for a while, and he's just so amazingly talented. And I knew when the scripts were coming together that he was the guy to draw it. So yeah, I love that guy. If it doesn't show.
So how much how much of a say did you have in what the art style looked like, or did you just kind of give him?
Well, I knew, like, I'm real familiar with his style, so I knew what he would do already. I was writing to his strengths, and in fact I stole some of like different stuff that he's put in other things that he's done. I would steal those gags and put them in the book because I was like the in issue 3, the bunny rabbit. Being sort of inside his skin, he did it was like a stream of consciousness comic where this guy's face is melting off, and I was like, can I have that? Kind of like that whole gag. I just want to steal that and put that in here. And he's like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. So
Nice.
I definitely and then we'll talk about stuff. I'll ask him, like, what do you like to draw? Like in issue 6, there's like all these lizards because he likes drawing lizards. So like no problem.
Yeah.
So I always like to ask people I work with, like, well, what do you like to draw? And then what do you not like to draw? And he's like, he doesn't like to draw cars. But, like, Rob G., he loves drawing cars. So, Rob gets the car stuff.
Yeah.
So, because some guys, you don't want to bum them out by just having, President's Day set at a car dealership. So I was like, look, we'll try to limit how many, shots of parking lots we see full of cars. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So when you first sent him the script, what was his reaction?
I don't really remember. I'm trying. At first I actually had to convince Oni. that he was the guy to draw it, which is funny at this point. But I guess they'd seen, his other work and just were having a hard time translating that together with the script, and I'm like, no, he's the guy, trust me. And then the axe, the axe to the dome, the big spread on the first issue, when that came in, everybody was like, oh, right, like, how could it have been anybody else? And I'm like, yeah, you dummies, that's what I was talking about the whole time. Not that Oni's dumb. They know. They know. I love
John's
those guys.
listening. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, we are just huge fans of the book, and it's so visually stimulating. I have to hide it from my family members, and people.
Yeah, that's great. I like that.
It's hard to read in public, but I really, really enjoyed it.
I've heard somebody was talking that they had the third issue and they were on the subway trying to read it. And they were like, "Wow, that's not going to work out." So.
Yeah, better just save this one until we get home.
I forgot, the funny thing in the third issue, like, I knew I wanted to have male nudity to sort of balance out the female nudity, and it's just funny. But I forgot, like, there's the obvious part where he's naked when they're getting ready to shoot the movie, and then I just forgot to ever put in the script that he puts clothes back in. So when Jim's thumbnails came in, there's these little testicles and wieners. It keeps going like page after page after page. And I was like, what the hell's he doing? And he's like, you never put in the script that he gets dressed. And I was like, well, it's really funny, so we'll just go with it.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the part where he's naked and he throws up all over himself.
Yeah.
Defeated look on his face.
And I did give Jim specific directions on his pubic manicure with the hair. I was like, I want like a flying V, like the guitar, just
nice.
Sort of, and he got into it. He's
God.
like, yeah, it'll be like an arrow just pointing at his wiener, and I was like, oh, that's even better, So.
That's awesome.
I love the fact that you're using the word wiener. That's
Yeah.
funnier. It's funnier than dong. So
His ding-a-ling.
Yeah.
that's even better.
I really want to print the thumbnails someday because they're just so funny because they're just these little like almost like a stick figure running around with this ding-a-ling.
You said you were married, right?
Yeah, and I have a baby. Appropriate.
Did you ever share the script with your wife, and then what was her reaction?
She reads everything first, like because I'm half illiterate and I can't spell, and I like homonyms and synonyms, and my scripts are really a mess, and I would never force them on the uninitiated. So she always reads everything first, and she didn't bat an eye. She's just like, yeah, it's good. And I'm like, is it kind of out there? She's like, yeah, I don't know, you're weird, whatever. I was like, all right, well, okay.
It's like it's standard.
Yeah, she's like, she knows me. It's no big deal.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that has my wife edit my work.
I think it's important. Yeah, it's very important. Also, she goes, oh, you do stuff every now and then. It's not just reading comics, and I actually am writing. So she gets proof.
So, can you give us any hints at what Nathan Rex is up to next in the upcoming issues?
Nope.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask.
I'll say the next movie is the title of the next movie is Sister Bambi. So it was actually, and it's funny because it was actually a real treatment that I wrote for. In fact, a lot of my sort of bad ideas that never found their way into the world become his movies. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, this company asked me to write a treatment for a film, and they wanted like a women in prison sort of thing, and I was like, all right, let me see what I can do, and I think I went a little too far. But in fact, I when I sent in the treatment, I sent in a hard copy, and I took a bunch of Indian ink and just splattered it like it had blood all over it. And that guy actually called me. He was like, "What's on this? What's on this? Like, is this blood? Is this really blood?" I'm like, "No, dude."
I love this guy.
I'm just in the, I'm just trying to stand out of your your pile of treatments, and I guess I did. So, of course, they didn't make the movie. They made another movie that was not great. So maybe I dodged a bullet there. But yeah, so
I'm
Sister
shocked.
Bam, we'll get to see Coconut in a nun's habit, which is, you know.
That was gonna be my next question. So, although the auteur is very unique and graphic and hardcore, there is a very sweet and kind of heartwarming love story that comes about. Was that always the intention, or is that something you kind of threw in at the end, or kind
No,
of?
that's. I mean, I'm a big sap at heart. I mean, I like, you know, I like to cry at my movies, and you know, and feel things, feel the feels. So I also knew, I get a kick out of setting this big serial killer. I also think serial killers are incredibly boring, but they're also very commercial. So I knew like I could sell a comic about a serial killer consultant. But then actual like doing like serial killing stuff was just, I thought that was kind of boring. So I was like, well, we'll just change everything. And you know.
Well, you made it very unboring by having him go into the ocean and kill a shark.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, yeah, I mean, Darwin was a real fine too, because like Jim and I Jim was like trying to sketch him out, and he was like, well, how big is he? And I was like, it changes. And he's like, what do you mean it changes? I was like, he's always big enough to fill the frame. Like whatever the frame is, he's that big. So like sometimes he's like 9 feet tall, and sometimes he's 6 feet tall. Like just whatever is required, because he's not real. We
Yeah.
could do whatever we want. So
Right.
yeah.
I love that attitude,
But,
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that I remember. I think it was Texas Chainsaw when apparently like when Gunnar Hansen came in for his audition, he just filled the doorway. He was walking into the room, and he's like, "That's it. That's the guy." Like, you know,
Yeah.
he's a giant. He's terrifying. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of the thing we wanted. So
So out of these all these amazing characters you have in this book, what inspired the character of Coconut? Because to me she seems like so just not the type of character that I would picture, Nathan completely obsessing over. What kind of inspired that dynamic, that
I
contrast?
actually like that.
Yeah, I love.
Well,
no,
that's-
I love.
and
I love Coconut. She's awesome.
Oh yeah.
yeah, well, I think that's part of it. I wanted something that would stand out, and I'm a big Pam Grier fan, so you know she was definitely part of the inspiration. But I just, I don't know. I like the idea of a an interracial relationship. I thought I could, get some more racism points in there. if we're gonna just be as horrible as everything, it's like that's gonna go. I mean,
Racism points.
Oh yeah.
I remember
High score.
we had quite a few discussions about the butt line and all that, and I was like, no, like, people are always like, well, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and I'm like, well, then why do we work so fucking hard on the covers of the books to get people to judge them and then pick them up?
Good point.
I mean, you fall in love visually first, no matter what, like,
Yeah.
unless you meet somebody in, I don't know, in the dark and just hear them. But yeah, and she, like, once I saw Jim draw her too, I was just like, this is going to be great. So yeah,
I'm
like
definitely an ass man, so I fell in love with her instantly.
we did. In the notes,
But I was after
I
seeing Coconut.
I kept saying, no, it's got to be bigger. It's got to be bigger. Jim was like, okay, and I'm like, no, bigger. Whatever you think is too big, just a little bit bigger than that, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So if her and Darwin both share a frame, it's just gonna be ass and chest, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think she avoids him. I think for the most part, he's like,
Okay.
That's good. I don't want anything to happen to her.
Yeah.
So, Rick, you worked on a ton of stuff, including your own creator-owned books and stuff for Marvel and DC. What's been your favorite so far?
Of creator-owned or the work for
Of
hire?
of everything, just everything you've done. What's something you just could go back to and do over and over and over again?
I think, right now the auteur is. It's a little unfair to the other books because I'm in it and I'm still like having a
fuck
good
that
time.
Batman guy.
I did a Batman story, which it kills me because it was my like first work for hire job, and we were so green, and I just I would love another shot at that guy. I'm a big Batman fan, and I have some ideas that I would love to do if I got another shot. And we did okay, but it would just, I just feel it's a very green story. For as far as work for hire stuff, I did a Immortal Weapons book. The hell was it? The Dog Brother. He's one of the Immortal Weapons, and that's probably my favorite work for hire thing because I think the story was really strong, and Tim Green did the art, and he's just amazing, and it just looks great. But then Teenagers from Mars is my baby. Like that was that's my first book, and it was so. I mean, we didn't know anything about doing comics. I forgot with issue 2. I just forgot to solicit it because I forgot you had to like solicit the books every month. So we made it, and then I was like, oh shit, I gotta let people know that we made the book. So I mean, we made all the problems, but we didn't know anything, so it was really fun. Like there was no like stress or anything. You're just having a good time and making a book. So yeah, that one I think very fondly of. And now the Black Metal, we're getting the omnibus is coming out in October, and that's the biggest thing I've ever done with Chuck Beebe, Black Metal. And that I got a copy of the omnibus now, and it's sick. We did a hardcover, limited hardcover too. That's like black on black cover. So that's definitely a favorite too.
Very cool.
Awesome. We're all very excited for those coming out. So since you're so ingrained in comics and movies, what's your preference? What would you rather be doing? Would you rather be making comics full time, or would you rather be making movies full time, or are you content doing both?
I really want to do both. I did movies sort of first, and then in New York I was working as an editor for like television. And so it's like whenever the thing is that you do the most is the thing you start to hate, because it just becomes the job and the grind. And so comics were the sort of other thing. It was really fun, and there wasn't the same sort of pressure. But now I've mainly been doing comics for a while, and then comics start to drive you crazy. And so I'm starting to do more film stuff now. I think ultimately I'd like to do both because, I mean, they're just both so much fun. Who wouldn't,
Yeah.
So.
Are you currently shopping any ideas out there for books for some of your old creator-owned stuff that you're hoping now will get picked up now that movies and comics kind of are the thing?
Yeah, I mean, Teenage from Mars has sort of been a perennial favorite for people to come, and we've optioned that. It's since lapsed, which is okay because we're going to do something else with it. And Dead West, the zombie one, that's always sort of a hot property because of the zombies. And they're like House of Cards. You someone options it, and you get a director and a writer and all these different things, and then it all falls apart and you start over. But I've been doing some more screenwriting on my own. I wrote a feature screenplay called Black Bats that I have optioned to some fancy Hollywood producers, and we got into Sundance for their they have a producers lab, and it was actually just the week past where the producers come out and they run it through this sort of peer evaluated program to help polish it up and get it to where it's ready to be produced. So we just came out of that, and that's been really exciting. So yeah, we're moving forward trying to get that feature made, and I've got a couple short films too that I'm working on. So. And then a lot more comics. So, yeah.
Awesome. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes open.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to have more auteur coming out. We don't have a release date yet, but, we're doing more of that. And I'm doing a Carnage miniseries that's tying into Axis. So that'll be
man. That's going to be sick.
Yeah. Yeah, Raminder and I are pals, and he recommended me for it, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, okay. I gotta tell you then, I am the biggest Rick Raminder fan on the planet. You
can put a good word in. Yeah.
Have him get on the podcast. I would come give you a kiss.
I'll do what I can.
I'll fly to Virginia. We'll make out.
I want that kiss. Yeah, we're gonna.
Are we talking tongue here?
Yeah.
Hey, whatever Rick wants.
I'm not wasting my time here.
Exactly. He's putting out a word with Rick Remender. What do you think? He just wants a peck on the cheek for that?
Right. You gotta leave bruises.
I'm super excited for Access. Can you give us any inside info? Anything that we can look forward to?
No. I mean, I could.
Yeah.
I know all the details. I know everything.
Yes.
But no, no, they make you sign stuff, and
There's the stuff, you know, you gotta.
stuff. Gotta sign stuff.
Goddamn MDAs.
Yeah.
So,
no,
so
what?
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know.
Wait, what happened?
I was saying, so what I was going to ask you, what are you currently reading?
I'm pretty bad. I got this baby.
Kids.
So I'm way behind on my comic books. I get to the store like every couple of months, and I actually mainly pick up stuff at like conventions. But I didn't get to go to San Diego this year, so I missed out on a lot of stuff. But I'm looking forward to. I haven't read it, but The Wrenchies by Farrell is a book I'm really looking forward to. I think that's out from First Second, and I don't know what else. I know that they were going to put out the final Inkle, the Alejandro Jodorowsky collection. I think it might have already come out, but I missed that. But I wanna pick that up. So I'm a big Inkle fan. But and I've been reading the Batman, the Scott Snyder and Greg, however you say his name. Their Batman's been pretty good. So.
Yeah, I fuck it up every time too. How fantastic is that book, though?
It's really good. It's really good. So I'm a big Batman fan, but usually just hate all the books. But that one, I just feel like they're doing a great job. It's pretty spot on. So, but
Awesome.
yeah, I'm really behind. I need to catch up.
And you're not reading any Rick Remender's books? I'm sure he's gonna be very disappointed with that.
I'm reading a lot of his scripts right now. So I'm way behind on his stuff too. He's got the new one, Low, that just came out. I also just sit around. I expect people to give me free copies. Why should I go spend money? No, I'm a total jerk. Yeah, but
now you're starting to sound like me.
But Black Science is really nice. But again, I'm way behind on my issues. I've got a box at the store. I'll go in and have to drop probably like $100. But, yeah.
Yeah, we praised Black Science, and I talked about Low last week. Like I said, I love Rick Remender, and unfortunately, he doesn't know how to write a happy ending, which I would maybe like to see from him once in a while. But yeah, his stuff is so just emotionally driven and so heartbreaking and so disastrous. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's an amazingly talented and super awesome guy.
So that we'll carry into the rest of the segment and ask the rest of the crew what they're reading. Will, what are you reading this week?
I don't know, man. Ever since last week, it's been nothing but Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians all the time, which you and I got to see together. And that was a good time.
That was a good time.
Did he buy you dinner?
No.
Aw.
No, just
What a cheap date.
I am.
I still haven't seen that.
I just gave him a poster instead.
I know. No spoilers. Don't tell me anything.
Oh no.
We won't talk about it.
It's fantastic.
You can talk about it. Everyone said it's really good. I just I haven't been able to see it yet.
To be honest, there's nothing really to spoil. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward movie. There's no twists or turns or anything to kind of spoil. But I mean, it's really fantastic.
Yeah. It's the journey. But yeah, so this week I picked up Rocket Raccoon #2 and Legendary Star-Lord #2. I know you read these, Casey. So yeah, and obviously if you're not familiar with the characters from before the film, unlike Casey who knows everything about them, there's going to be a lot of stuff that they're going to talk about in the movie. Such as Rocket breaking out of how many prisons is it, Casey? Like 29 different prisons that he's broken out of? 22.
22.
Yeah. So
well, 23 now.
Yeah, 23 now. So spoiler about the comic. This issue we get to see Rocket in his prison break prowess, and I'm pretty sure that you and I are gonna pick what favorite page is on this book, Casey. Let's see. Do you have a favorite page on this book?
I actually have not gotten a chance to read it yet, so I'm gonna take your word for it. I know.
I'm sad. Can I show this anyways?
Yeah. Here's what I knew you were gonna read it, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go read some other books, so we're not talking about the same thing every week. So I would figure I'd leave it to you.
So obviously Rocket's in prison. He has to break out, and the frame right before it, he says prison break montage. So the next 2 pages are just this massive splash page of of prison break montage with him and Groot like digging underground and running into things while they're trying to get out of this prison. It's freaking hilarious. This book is so much fun. The writing is fun. The art is fun. It's kind of just how you would picture what things look like in Rocket's brain. It's just kind of zany and kind of out there. So super great. If you want to get a little more immersed into the Guardians of the Galaxy universe and know a little bit more about the characters and kind of what makes them tick more than just what you saw on the big screen, definitely check these two out. Star-Lord this week was another fun one. He's in a pickle as usual, has to find a way out, and of course he's always got some kind of plan that he's worked out with somebody on the back burner to cover his butt, and really it's like, totally opposite of, yeah. Go ahead.
That guy lives in a pickle jar.
Yeah, he does. But he always seems to find a way out of it somehow. So. Yeah, definitely go check out these books if you're really all about Guardians, like pretty much everybody in the universe is right now. Great books, check it out. And that's all I read this week.
So Piper, what you're next? What did you read this week?
A whole lot of Grimms, and I read a whole bunch of the arcs.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And since I talk about
which Grimms you can.
Oh. Let's see. I accidentally read them in the wrong order because I'm dumb. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, just reading stuff.
But so it was cool. I read like the outcome, and then of something, and then I read why that even started. But so basically after issue 100, they've split off into more separate storylines, and they actually already have, I read like the number 1 of After the Realms War, I think, or something like that. I can't remember the name of it right now, shoot. But so they're already saying stuff after something that's happening after something that they're currently also publishing, so that was rather confusing. They were like, we're going to publish what's going on now, but we're also going to have this separate story of what happened after. I'm like, why can't you just wait? But and then they're bringing back Grimm's Tales of Terror. So they're delving more into horror story literature than fairy tale literature, and I thought that was cool. So I read the Telltale Heart, and it was okay. I guess I wasn't all that impressed.
Uh-oh.
I was expecting more, and it was kind of quick, and we're trying really hard to be creepy, but it's not working in the slightest. And it didn't have the same feel. So maybe it's the story they chose, I don't know, but like it was nothing like a Telltale Heart, so I don't know why they even associated it, really.
Well, you can take that up with Pat in September because he'll be on the show.
Awesome. Awesome.
Make a note.
And then, in reading the other ones, I liked them, but I'm not going to really go into detail on any of them because I'm not 100% sure which ones I can. The arcs, I believe I can, though.
Yeah, you can spoil that shit all day long.
all over the place. All right, the arcs was very different experience for me. It's all black and white, and the artwork is almost messy. Like, I almost have this urge to want to clean it up in my head because I draw. But it works for it. It's just that sometimes it can get confusing, and I have to eye a panel multiple times to figure out what's going on and what body part belongs to who sometimes. But
yeah, it's very chaotic and very action-packed, and I think that the action scenes can get really jumbled. But when you're dealing with that many characters in a war scene,
yeah,
it's kind of necessary sometimes, but.
Well, it's kind of like what they do for movies now, which is like take the cameras and shake them all over the place. So it kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like the shaky camera work, only in the form of a comic. So it took me a little bit to get my bearings sometimes and figure out what was going on. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I love the story. It's basically angels and demons fighting each other. There's different types of angels with different purposes. Some are supposed to save souls. Some are actually supposed to be killing demons. Stuff like that. And it's been going on forever and ever and ever. And the angels are starting to fight amongst themselves, which is now giving Satan or whatever, Lucifer, a way to really turn the war in his or her favor. And at the very start, like I wanted to read something completely different, but at the very start I was like, oh my God, are we going to get like all super biblical, and is this going to be an entertaining thing, or is this going to make me question my morals like the whole time I'm reading it or something, or make me feel like a bad person? And I was pleasantly surprised that no, it's really action packed, and it can get actually creepy, and it's nice. I really like it, and I would actually suggest it, definitely.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we'll have those creators on in September as well. So
wow,
you can talk
sweet.
with them and tell them how much you love their book. I know, we're popular, Piper. We're a popular podcast.
Oh, that's cool. I
Awesome.
have to put my shirt on. No.
Oh, no. I knew you were going to be trouble.
Right.
Coming on here not wearing shirts and things.
Well, you already know that I love the fact that I don't technically have to have pants to do this podcast.
It's true.
Pants suck.
Yeah, we really need to advertise that more, that you're not wearing pants. I think we may up our viewership.
Do you like listening to shows with a pantsless host? Check out the Geeks with Open Games.
I talk comics without any pants.
We
There's
can change
probably
the
a lot
name
of
of
that. There's probably a lot of
Yeah.
that going on.
You would be surprised.
Mr. Walsh,
Cool.
what did
So
you read
that
this
all
week?
for you?
Yeah, those were the main things I read. I just read them in bulk. So
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad you like the arcs. Like I said, we'll have them on, and then when Pat comes on, you can definitely hash out your beef with him.
awesome.
In his books. Yeah, I'm really actually excited to read Robin Hood. I try to read Zenescope stuff, and I find myself getting turned off by it because it's so sexually driven.
Yeah.
But I really need to kind of just bear down and just kind of deal with it because the writing is not terrible. It's really fun, and the characters are really easy to understand, and they're characters that we've grown up with our entire lives. It's just so overtly sexual that it's hard to kind of.
Yeah, it was really sad. It's like I love the artwork, the art style, but it's so focused on TNA. But at least it's focused on it just from like a visual standpoint and not from a storyline standpoint. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's not like the Auteur where the TNA is
It's all story-driven nudity.
yeah, it's all story.
yeah.
All right, so I'm talking about a couple books. I really want to get onto our topic because I really want to hear what you have to say about that, Piper. So the books I read this week are Moon Knight #6. So this is the end of Warren Ellis and Declan Slavy's run, and I am super sad. Just like I was sad about the Auteur ending, I'm super sad about this ending because I think that the Moon Knight was a perfect book for Marvel. It was so outside of the box and just so something that they're not typical of doing. And each story is a one-off issue. So, I mean, you could take each story in stride and not have to kind of worry about following it week to week or month to month. And they're so enjoyable, and that each story is so different. And Warren Ellis just knows how to write characters and draw you in. And then Declan definitely knows how to draw them and keep you interested. So if you haven't been reading Moon Knight from Marvel, please go check that out. It's only 6 issues. Each issue, like I said, is a one-off story. So if you read one issue and you don't like it, go pick up the next one because I guarantee you'll find one that you like. There's 2 in particular. One about a guy, or one about like the dream state and nightmares, and one about that's basically a Raid remake. So they're really, really great, and I'm really, really sad to see it end. And new creators jump on. I'm sure Brian Wood will do fine, but I'm really gonna miss Ellis on that book so much. Also out this week, Thor and Loki #3, The 10th Realm. So this is a spin-off, the original Sin stuff. It's fine. It's just kind of continuing the story of Thor finding his sister, not really driving the original Sin storyline like I thought, and not really going towards the female Thor storyline like I thought it would. But Jason Aaron definitely knows what he's doing, so I'm sure that this is the kind of book that you need to read in a whole, and once it ends, it'll all kind of come together nicely.
Very cool.
I also read from Oni, speaking of the auteur, The Bunker. And this was a book I loved to death, and I could not put it down. It's so engaging and so enthralling. It's basically about a group of friends who find a bunker that their future selves created and for them to find. And then inside the bunker, they figure out that they're responsible for ending the world. So it's just this crazy, and how they can now change that, and then there's these future elements that are all weaved in there, and then so you're constantly jumping from the present to the future and back and forth, and seeing these characters in both time periods, and it's really, really fascinating. The art in issue 1 really kind of did not capture me. It was really messy. The lettering was so hard to read. I almost did not stop reading it. But it seems like in issue 2 they figured that out, and they really cleaned it up a lot, because from issue 2 on, the art is much better, and the lettering is a million times better and so much easier to read. So if you want another book from Oni that's just crazy, insane, outside of the box, just not your typical comic book fare, definitely pick up The Bunker, as well as The Auteur and Letter 44, what we talked about numerous times in this podcast.
Yeah, those are all great books, especially mine.
I
don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No, I really like The Bunker. I think it's a great book. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, issue 5 came out this week, so I'm itching to read it. I'm actually gonna start reading it as soon as we get off this podcast, because it's one of those books I just could not stop reading. I literally just had to segregate myself from my family for a couple hours and just sit down and just motor through that book because I just enjoyed it so much. So pick it up for show. All right, so Piper, why don't you lead us in our topic and kind of lay it out for us, and why you wanted to talk about this subject.
Okay, well, a big thing that got actually a lot of buzz after Guardians opened was that 44% of the viewers were apparently female, and that's up from 40% at all the other comic book movies. My first thought was, who the hell is counting them by gender?
Good question.
Who's sitting there going, female ticket, female ticket, female ticket? This is a dude. This is a dude. That was really that was really bugging me. Like, why are we counting what genders are going to movies? For one. And for two, I'm happy for Guardians to get more females, but Guardians got more, period.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I just don't know how accurate the information is, but Guardians already beat out most of the other comic book movies, except the latest Captain America, Winter Soldier. But other than that, it beat out pretty much all of the other comic book movies. So wouldn't it make sense for a higher percentage of the audience to kind of be female? Obviously, it's popular enough that it got more male viewers too, technically.
Right.
Well, in the female defense, I will say that my wife saw it twice. Now, that being said, I drug her kicking and screaming both times.
Oh, you didn't tell me that part. That's terrible.
So
So maybe
that has something to do with it.
yeah, the fact maybe it's just that more comic book fans have gotten married than before, and they're taking their wives or girlfriends.
Well, see, and that brings me into the next part of the topic is as soon as this one was announced, a lot of the responses were, well, it's because since it got a bigger draw overall, it means that more people forced their girlfriends and wives to go see it with them was one big response. Another big response was it's got a talking raccoon. I would just like to tell people that might be cool for kids, but we chicks, we are adults, and cute animals are awesome, but we can still very well tell that he's wielding a gun and likes, shooting shit and blowing shit up. So I don't see how he would appeal more than any of the other characters. But another response was that they just thought the male actors were hot.
Well,
which is, I think, a typical response, honestly.
I did find myself getting excited every time Groot was on screen.
Right? Just imagine what he could do with the. I mean, he grows and shrinks and stuff. So I mean.
Now, in the subject of debate and whatnot, do we at all feel that that's maybe a reflection of the fact that there definitely is more women now in geek culture, for sure. There's just from a standpoint of I've like a lot of us or a lot of people on our show, I've been going to conventions the last 10, 12 years, and for sure the last half of my convention going life, the amount of women that goes to these things has double, triple, quadruple. As far as if we want to take a look at the cosplay aspect, the guys in cosplay, like, nobody cares about them anymore. I mean, that's kind of a weird way to look at it, or it's still black and white. But if you think about it, the people who are
still care about you, Will.
Cosplay, the people who are famous in the cosplay world are the women. They're the ones that get all the attention. I mean, you ask anybody, even people who don't really go to a lot of conventions, to name, let's say, 10 cosplayers, they'll pretty much name all women.
While this is true, I do think more women cosplay. You also do got to consider the fact that more women cosplay, but they're also more likely than male cosplayers to get negative attention. And that's, because there's more of them, for one, but it's because if you look at most male, character costumes, too, I mean, they pretty much got their junk covered, so. But pretty much. I mean.
There's definitely been, a shift as far as, what kind of people were, or at least that are open about it and we know about it, more females in the geek culture now than there ever has been, I think.
I think it's because we're working really hard on making that a safer
Sure.
place for them to enjoy their geekdom too.
Right. Rick, what's your thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have seen, like you were saying with the conventions, there's a lot more women and girls there than there have been in years going back, and I think it's great. I think, and there's also a really good discussion going on, sort of almost a constant discussion. I mean, sometimes it's fueled by negative, negative events, but there really is an ongoing, constant dialogue and discussion about, comics and gender, and people. I mean, you see it now a lot. I mean, it's maybe not enough yet, but people concerned with making sure that there is stuff that appeals to women and to kids, and to sort of any audience that's out there. There's just the idea of like just comics just being for the nerdy, 14-year-old boy that stereotype is pretty much gone at this point.
Yeah.
And
we're not the basement dwellers anymore.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're still here, but
Speak for yourself.
but it's growing, and even when things aren't perfect by any means, there's definitely an ongoing discussion, and I see it all the time, a concern from creators and from publishers to make sure, or at least to do their best to try to find new audiences and to make sure that there are books for all different types of people, from all different types of backgrounds. And will everybody be happy at some point? No, but that's great. You just keep going and you keep working on it. But I think it's great that it is so discussed, and then when there are these sort of negative things, people they're becoming more vocal about it, and we're losing some of the stigmas of just complaining about things that are wrong.
Right.
And I think it's definitely heading in the right direction. And I think that for like comics specifically, but geek culture as a whole, it's only better. I mean the numbers, the female viewer numbers on Guardians, that's what they want. They want to be able to sell more tickets. I mean, you know what I mean? And there's and so if you're already getting most of the guys, then that's the other audience that you want to get. And as you can get more of those people in there, then it's, to some of it, it's a bit, well, we're just trying to make money, and that's a group that we're gonna target, and maybe they're getting better at their marketing and outreach and stuff like that. Yeah. But at the same time, it makes the culture more interesting and larger, and you start to get, you'll get different perspectives and you'll get different work. And to me, I find that really interesting when you find stuff. I love going to like the smaller cons, like the alternate stuff like SPX and stuff like that, and finding those mini comics and stuff I met Rebecca Sugar at SPX a million years ago with teenagers from ours, and she was a big fan, and now she's like, making Adventure Time, right. And it's like, that's amazing, and I just think there needs to be more of that, and we're definitely headed in the right direction. There's always setbacks. There's always somebody that just, I don't know, puts their foot in their mouth. And a lot of times that's just because they haven't thought of all the way through, whatever their sort of silly comment was. But yeah, it's definitely changing, and I think for the better.
It's definitely nice to see that, geek culture as a whole is definitely recognizing that fans are obviously not just men or teenage boys. It's and you have all these great companies that are hitting the scene. Even just talking about like clothing companies for women, that pretty much their whole company is coming out with geek stuff for women to wear. I mean, it's nice that hopefully sometime in the future, the girls in geek culture won't have to deal with those stigmas like, oh, you're a girl, you're not a fan, you're just cosplaying.
Oh God, I hate that so much.
And it's
Hey, you can't even tell that's a violent trigger when somebody like has to sit there and question a girl's.
It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
I guess.
It's just I can count like probably. Next to Casey, most of the people who could school me on comics any day are all women that I know that I hang out with. I'm like, I don't know half of this crap. You guys in a comic trivia contest. So yeah, it's nice that slowly those kind of that kind of paradigm is starting to shift a little bit. So, and I think that's a small indicator, with the whole Guardians thing.
Also, I'm so sorry. I'm going to interrupt you though, because you talk a lot anyway.
Oh,
Also, all these theories about basically this extra 4%. So far, nobody has stopped to think that, okay, we've been flooded with Avengers stuff because they all have separate movies on top of the Avengers movies. So, we've been smacked in the face pretty hard with all the Avengers stuff. I never paid attention to the Guardians of Galaxy comics. I didn't pay attention to Rocket Raccoon. I thought he was. I know. I'm admitting right now. I thought he was stupid, like Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck is not stupid.
I know. Well, I thought they were stupid, so I never paid attention to.
Rick, can you please pitch a Howard the Duck book to Marvel? Because I think that character needs to come back.
You know,
No!
I got him in a panel. I got him in one. I did a Deadpool team up with Hellcow, which was an old Howard the Duck villain. And so Howard did one panel
I
appearance.
remember that.
I loved Hellcow because I'd see they'd have Hellcow in the Marvel Universe handbook, and I was a kid. I didn't know it was a joke. I thought I was like, wow, there's a vampire cow. That's really weird and scary.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
But one thing I don't think they're paying attention to is the reason I'm admitting I never watched those comics or read those comics. But the previews and trailers and stuff still managed to get me really super excited for Guardians, even though I still thought the concept was stupid. I still thought the raccoon was stupid. And yet their marketing got me really freaking excited for that movie.
Mhm.
And thanks to that movie, I am now really excited for the comics that I need to go and backtrack on, because now I like the characters and I don't think they're quite as stupid, except Howard the Duck. He's still stupid. But he's,
My wife was so excited after that end credit scene. That was like the biggest smile I'd seen on her face through the whole movie, because she loves Howard the Duck. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But she loves that movie.
That doesn't surprise
when I was in the theater, no kidding, everybody that stayed behind, when they saw that little end thing was just Howard the Duck and, a little bit of Cosmo, everybody was griping that left while I'm sitting there giggling like, God, that duck is stupid.
Oh shit, we're totally spoiling this for Rick. I apologize.
Oh,
That's no problem. No.
So, just in case you didn't know, Howard the Duck is stupid.
I actually, I'm a big fan. When I was a kid, I went to the Howard the Duck movie, the old one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, that was great, and everyone's like, that movie was terrible. I was like, it was amazing.
You and my wife would get along so well. She loves that movie so much. I
think I just like the claymation or stop motion monsters at the end, the scorpion.
Oh
dudes.
yeah. Scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
The dark overlords.
Oh yes.
So Piper, I think you're not giving enough credit to Marvel, maybe, because I think one thing that they have done is create strong female characters, and throughout most of their films, including Pepper Potts and Black Widow, and now Gamora, who was a badass more than any of the other characters in that movie.
They didn't really play her up, though, in the advertisements and the trailers. And honestly, I have to say, if I had one gripe about the movie itself, it's that she was a really flat character.
Well, to be fair, she's kind of flat in the comic as well. Like, she doesn't have. She's an assassin. She's a killer. That's her main job.
Okay, well, I think the ability to kill people does not make a strong female character. The ability to not sit there and hump every cute thing with a penis probably makes a strong female character. And we're definitely lacking those, it seems. So, but yeah, I think we still need more than just the ability to whoop ass, because a robot that you for some reason stick boobs on, and yes, those exist in comics, which I think is stupid, those can kick ass too. That doesn't make a strong female character. It's a robot.
Yeah, Ultron was a female, a very curvy female at one point, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Still does not make a strong female character.
We have just a few minutes left, so that goes right into our next topic, the news story, where Captain Marvel is highly rumored to make a cameo in the Avengers. Yeah. So how do you feel about that, Piper?
I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, it would be nice to bring in more characters or more cameos in general. Because I do think that keeping to the characters we have now is going to get stale. It looks like they're going to have to bring in Ant-Man and Wasp. I know they're confirmed to be in a movie, but I don't know if they're getting their own movie or they're just shoving them in the Avengers.
No, there'll be an Ant-Man movie, and it's not Janet Van Dyne. So technically, it's not Wasp. It's Hope Van Dyne, who is their daughter. But I mean, in the comic book, I think she is actually their daughter in like an alternate universe, and she is the Wasp there. So that movie is taken the source material in a completely like new direction.
Yeah,
I'm really
that's
interested to
crazy.
see where that goes, especially with aging Hank Pym so old, and then
Yeah.
killing off Janet in the first 5 minutes of the movie, which is what the rumor is to be. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how they kind of handle that. But I'm with you. I really want to see more female characters, and unfortunately I just think they're doing a much better job at this point than DC is.
Yes. Oh,
Because
yes.
DC seems to have such a hard time with introducing female characters into their universe, and I don't know why. Rick, do you have any insight into why that might be?
No. I mean,
No, negative.
I mean,
Thanks for that.
I mean, you see, I've seen the different things that come and go about Wonder Woman. I mean, out of all female comic book characters, I mean, she's the one you would think that would be the easiest to make a huge movie out of. I mean,
She's big enough that she's got her own comic. Why can't she have her own movie?
Everyone knows Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. I mean, those are
Yeah.
you
The
know what I
big
mean? Like,
three.
she's got an audience there, even if people don't follow the comics or whatever. They understand, who she is, and
Yeah.
I'm just shocked they haven't been able to turn that into a really interesting film yet. I mean, I don't know.
Did you see her costume reveal from San Diego Comic-Con, and what'd you think of it, if you did?
I did. I mean, I thought it was, I don't know. I mean, it's sort of what you'd expect, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was, in the wrong direction, but I didn't also think it was all that, an interesting choice at all either. It seemed like pretty standard. You get, 20 Hollywood people in a room to talk about Wonder Woman, and that's what you're going to get. I don't know. I was like, cool. I mean, I thought it was. I saw the one photo. I was like, oh, cool. Like, they should definitely be making a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm with you. I mean, this is the popular meme going around the internet. But how can Marvel put out a movie about a talking raccoon and we have not gotten a Wonder Woman movie yet? That seems
I love
just
that meme. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it does sort of frame the argument in a way that's like, oh yeah, get on it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's a good place to close out this episode. So, Rick, where can we find you on various social media and websites, and if we want to look for your work?
I'm on Facebook and Twitter at Rick Spears. That's probably the best place. I have rickspears.com, which is really just my Tumblr, but I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. That's what I do.
Is that where we're gonna be able to find?
I'm making the real. See, also I'm on East Coast time, so it's like 12:14. I'm falling apart.
I know.
Oh, dear.
That's California boys are spoiled.
Yeah. Well, the baby wakes me up crack of dawn too. That's always fun.
Oh,
But Facebook and Twitter, those are the two best places and to hear me ramble about silly stuff and horror movies and whatever's going on that day.
Sweet.
So
Yeah.
the Tumblrs where we'll be able to find Nathan Rex penis thumbnails.
I don't know if we have any of those up yet, but I definitely we talked about doing a whole issue that was just Jim's thumbnails because they're really magical and hilarious. Because everything's like the detail isn't there, but all of the acting and all of the sort of storytelling is there, and it's amazing to see what he can do with line. It's crazy, and especially when it's a wiener.
Right.
So.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, please give,
You know that thing where artists, like, whenever they draw a hand or whatever, it's always their hand. Like Jim, whenever he draws Rex's hand, he's got a bum pinky. So like Rex has got a bum pinky, and I was like, oh, all these testicles and all this penis. I don't want to ask. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll just leave it there.
No.
Sorry, Jim.
yeah, tell Jim next time you talk to him, tell him we're huge fans of his art. And I mean that first page of Rick kind of diving into his subconscious and swimming around his ideas is what drew me into the auteur and held me
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah.
So he did some amazing stuff with your script, and I commend him, you both, for it. It's really a fantastic book, and I recommend every adult that reads comic books to go read it. Not so much if you're a kid.
Yeah.
I'll sell it to kids. I don't care.
You're like a back alley drug pusher.
You're whoever's buying. Whoever's buying.
Yeah. I got a swipe. I can do credit cards. Kids got cards. I know. No, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely, anytime. We'd love to have you back when you have a new book out.
Definitely.
Always, you've been a tremendous guest. Piper, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at FizzGiggity with a Y. You figure out how to spell it. Just search for Piper, and when you find FizzGiggity, that's me. In fact, I also want to say that Rick Spears is my 300th follower. So I did it today! Ha ha ha! I should probably draw something that's cute and
Now you have to fly to Virginia and give him a kiss.
Yeah, sweet.
There we go. But I get to do peg on the cheek because it's a Twitter follow.
Rick,
Yeah.
you've got a line, I guess, man. Take a number for that, or what? Awesome.
Oh, and also, for everybody on Twitter wondering, yes, I'm wearing a shirt. It is a Batman shirt.
Thanks for clearing that up for us. We were all
Yeah.
sitting at the edge of our seats, waiting for you to stand up.
Yes.
Do you want me to?
Only if you're really wearing a shirt.
If I'm really wearing a shirt, here is Bat Boobs. Only people watching the podcast live get to see. Sort of. I really have to stand in this chair, almost, but I can't due to lack of pants. So.
Gotcha. All right.
All right, so you can find me at Casey Comics, or where I really tweet from is at GWW Capes Crew. You can also find my writing and Piper's writing and Will's videos on at geekswithwives.com. There's always new content going up there, including we'll have a review of the auteur. The trade, as soon as that comes out, we'll post that to review. The review was written by Corey, who does most of our comic book reviews now because he's amazing. So yeah. So I think that's it for me. Thank you so much, Rick, for coming on. Like I said, we would love to have you back. You were an absolute joy.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
And Will, why don't you get us out of here?
Yeah, just real quick, we've had 2 episodes now, and I haven't gotten a chance to say crap about Comic-Con. So if you want to see a little bit of what I get to do at Comic-Con, go on our website right now. I put up a really cool video from the Gotham ziplining experience, and what's extra cool is there's a chance to win free swag on that video. I brought back some really cool stuff to give away, so check it out. There might even be a celebrity talking about what he thought about it, so check that out. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Darth Sparrow. Thanks again to Rick for being an awesome guest and for the amazing book. Check it out if you haven't done so yet. And for the whole crew, we thank you for watching and listening. And as always, we will catch you on the geek side.